Hello, gore horrors and fellow deadites. I am Brendan, and welcome to Our Life in Horror. Today, we have a very special guest with us today. This is Andrew De Burgh. He is a writer and director of the film The Seductress from Hell. Please help me welcome Andrew.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on. We just watched your movie last night, and we think it's great.
Well, thank you.
Before we get on with this interview, could you plug your accounts and let people know where to find this movie, where to find you?
Yeah, so our website is seductressfromhellmovie.com. And on that website will be like all the links to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and what's the other one we're on? Twitter. Yeah, and we have like other links there as well, like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. So are you ready for these amazing skill testing questions we have for you today?
Sure,
yeah. So online it says that you were a horror fan from a young age. At what age did you start getting into horror, and what were some of your first movies?
So I think the first movie I ever watched was The Shining. I think I was 12 years old. It was actually at a friend's house. Like my parents didn't know I was watching it. And I remember like just being horrified by it, like, you know, with the two girls and like the blood coming out of the elevator. And it was just like, I remember being like shocked, like, you know, and later on, like I sort of got more into horror, like in my teenage years. So I'm a big fan of Korean horror films like I Saw the Devil and The Wailing. And then of course, like classics like Child's Play, Maniac Cop, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, like, so I basically like try to see as many as I can. And I still do. I still try and see a lot.
Excellent. Do you have any? Do you have one that you consider a modern classic?
That's a good question. I think Hereditary is very good.
Okay, I think that's on everybody's list.
Yeah, I also like The First Omen. I thought that was pretty good.
We have yet to see that one.
You should see it. It's good. Like I think it pays tribute to the originals really well.
Okay.
And what else? Immaculate, I enjoyed.
We just did an episode on that one last week. I enjoyed it quite a lot as well.
Nice. Yeah, it's a cool story, isn't it? It's like kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, I love the kind of the flip on its head of the, you would think that they're doing the Antichrist, but instead they're trying to bring back Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it's kind of a wacky film, and Sydney Sweeney's really good in the movie.
Absolutely, she's fantastic. So did you go to school for filmmaking?
Yeah, so I actually double majored in advertising and film at a school called Pepperdine in California. I guess I've been doing student films like since I was in college, and then later on I got more into professional filmmaking. So yeah, it's I did study film, and I also I went to UCLA Extension for producing as well. So I did that, and I also read a lot about film. Like I have film books and encyclopedias, so I'm always trying to learn about film history and stuff like that.
Okay, I know a lot of filmmakers tend to usually say don't go to film school. Are you totally against that idea, or do you think people should or shouldn't?
I sort of didn't go to specifically film school in the sense because it was like an undergraduate major I had, as opposed to going to say Chapman or New York Film Academy. So I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm not for or against film school. I think there's different ways to break into the industry. But I mean, I'm sure film school is amazing. If you say go to one of those schools like NYFA, the programs they have and the equipment they use, and even AFI apparently is a really good school too.
Oh, okay. What are some directors that inspired you while writing or making your movies?
So I think with The Seductress from Hell, it was heavily inspired by a lot of classics. So I would definitely say The Exorcist, so William Friedkin, Halloween, John Carpenter's another genius. What else? The original Omen, that's another one. I think it was Richard Donner directed that, if I'm not mistaken. And Maniac Cop. So yeah, I guess a lot of even A Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven's a huge influence of mine. So yeah, I guess it's almost a combination of my favorite horror films.
Okay. Online it shows Just One Drink from 2015 as a short film that you also directed. Was that your first film?
Yeah, that was my first professional film. So I had done student films before that, and more sort of casual short films. But I guess like that was my first one with like a professional crew, and like Barbara Nedjikova from Hostel. She was like a big name. You know, she was a scream queen. So yeah, I was like, I guess that's my first professional film that I did.
How daunting was it being in the director's chair on your first short film?
It was really cool. Like I was kind of nervous to work with Barbara because she's so experienced, but she was so down to earth and like accommodating and like just a very nice, genuine person, which was great.
Oh, that's good. That's great. What was your experience working on the movie MFA? I got here in quotes. Sam really loved this movie.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So I was just like a frat boy in one of like the scenes. So I was like, I think I had one line or something. I don't even remember if it was still in the final film. But yeah, I was just an actor for one day on that. But yeah, it was fun. The people were nice on that production.
Okay. Do you tend to also do like a lot of acting gigs, or?
So I initially started out as an actor. Like that was kind of how I thought I could break into the industry. But I mean, I've quit acting now for like 7-8 years. It's been a while since I've acted. Like I'm not pursuing that. But I did enjoy it when I did it.
Okay. Now we'll get into some questions about your movie, The Seductress from Hell. How did you get the idea for the story?
So the idea for the story came from like in LA and Hollywood. There's a lot of this is like a famous sort of knowledge, but there's a lot of fake people sometimes. So it's like that they're like nice to you on the surface, but they're not really like nice people to you. So the idea from The Seductress came from like, what if someone on the surface is really nice, but it's all kind of an act? So that's kind of like how we got the initial premise. And then it was developed further.
Okay. How long did it take you to write the script, and what helps you get into the writing process?
So I think the first draft took about 2 months.
Okay.
And I actually like listened to horror soundtracks throughout the whole process. Like Halloween was a big one, Candyman, like all those classics, Child's Play. So yeah, that kind of put me in a dark place. And it was an uncomfortable script to write, you know, like it wasn't, you know, it's a dark story. So it's not easy writing those stories.
Yeah. I noticed that you have, I don't want to say it's heavy-handedly. You talk about a lot of like influencers and social media and people being two-faced. I'm assuming that was like a forefrontal point in your movie.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a bit cynical for sure. But yeah, I guess like I probably went a little more cynical just to make the story, I felt like, more interesting, you know?
Yep.
But yeah.
Okay. Are you a fan of the torture porn subgenre?
Would that be something like Hostel? Would that be?
Yeah, Hostel, Saw.
Yeah, I would say I enjoy those films. I'm not like, it's not my favorite subgenre of horror, but I do like I have enjoyed Saw, and I saw Jigsaw recently. I thought that was pretty good.
Okay. What was your casting process like?
So for casting, it was interesting. We had we like looked at like 2,000 headshots and reels for the lead actress for the role. And initially we had actually cast another actress, like who went through a set of callbacks and auditions. And she left the project for creative reasons. She actually found it difficult to get into the role because it was so dark. So we actually like redid auditions, and Rosia, who ended up being the lead in the film, she was like runner-up to book it the first time. So we went through like another set of callbacks, and I had Zoom interviews with her, like to make sure she could do that role. And and then she was cast. And with the other roles, it was similar. People like Jason Thornton and James Hyde, like they're more established, so we offered them roles as opposed to auditioning for us. And yeah.
Okay. How long did it take you to shoot this film?
It was about 20 days, I believe. So it was like a month, last October.
Okay. How long did like post-production last for as well?
Post was actually 5 months. So it was quite a while. I mean, it's short by like Hollywood standards, but it was like a very intense 5 months. I think it was 2 months where we did the edit. Like it was like nonstop, 6 days a week. Our editor, Ivan Ortega, was brilliant and like very passionate. And then 3 months of sound design, mixing, scoring, and coloring. So yeah.
I do have to ask you questions about the score, because at the opening credits, I got a lot of The Exorcist kind of vibes, and then throughout it, I got some more like some 80s slasher vibes thrown in there as well. Do you have a hand in what was going on with the soundtrack, or did you just totally leave it up into the hands?
No, I actually was very involved. Like Elazzy, the composer, he actually did Just One Drink, so I've known him for like almost 10 years now. Him and I, like, we have a lot of calls and like Zooms and emails. Like we go over the scenes, like what kind of music should be there. So yeah, I had a very, I was lucky. Like I had a producer who let me take such a, big hand in post-production.
Was I right in the call for like the opening being very Exorcist influenced?
Yeah, it was like, I think Halloween and Exorcist were the two like tracks I sent him to kind of give him an inspiration.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
When directing a dialogue-heavy scene, do you tend to let the actors lead, or do you give them a lot of direction?
I would say both. Like I let them sort of improv a little bit here and there, like if it makes them more natural, the performance. But at the same time, I guess I direct quite a lot. Like I kind of talk about the characters, like what should be behind the scene, the motivation, like how should they deliver the dialogue. And it's important to kind of give life to the character, like so they sort of know who this person is, as opposed to just picking up the script, because the script doesn't tell you that much about the character. So I wrote backstories actually, and I sent it to all the actors before the shoot as well.
Okay, nice. Let me see. When will this movie be available, and where can people find it?
So right now we're on the film festival circuit. We're looking at like maybe a spring 2025 release in theaters. We're still like planning that out. So yeah, it'll definitely be on the festival circuit this year. So people, if they're like nearby a screening, we'd love to have people come see the film.
Awesome. What was your biggest challenge while working on this movie?
That's a good question. I think I take filmmaking very seriously. I'm very passionate about it. So like, I just put in so much into it that by the end of the shoot, like I'm very tired, like physically and mentally drained, So it was just, I mean, every film is tough, there's always like challenges on set, it's not always easy making movies. So I guess it was fun, but yeah, it was challenging at the same time for sure. I guess in terms of what would be the most challenging thing, I guess making sure we like shot everything every day, like people didn't, get angry, or like there wasn't any clashes or egos on set. Like it's important to sort of have a good team. But I mean, with Hollywood, like there's always people, it's not always smooth, so.
Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work is what I like to say at work.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm jumping back and forth between production and pre-production, but pre-production, how long did it take for you guys to get set up with like scouting locations? Did you do storyboards as well before you even decided to start shooting?
Yeah, we did. I think pre-production was also about 5 months. So like we had our production designer, Fabio, he's a very talented visionary. He actually like coordinated the painting of the house that we used. So like he like worked with the DP and I on like picking the colors for the background of the house. And like his wife actually, Anna, she actually worked on Interstellar. She's a very talented art director. She painted paintings, like all those original paintings in the film. So yeah, it was quite a lot of like time to make sure the locations were good, because it's a claustrophobic film in the sense that like it's not that many locations. So we wanted to make it like interesting visually, so but yeah, pre-production was very intense, for quite a few months.
Yeah. What was the budget for the film, and how do you go about securing finances?
It was about, I think, 1.4 million or something in total. So yeah, this was actually funded by a businessman, an LA businessman. And in terms of like how to get funding for films, it's very difficult. Like I've been doing it for many years, trying to raise money for films. So yeah, it's just a lot of pitching, and like I'm a big believer in luck too. Sometimes like you're in the right place and someone says, "Oh yeah, I'll fund that idea." Like I used to go to the American film market with screenplays. Like I would even print them out, and like I would try and pitch to producers and stuff. So yeah, I've been doing this a long time. It's very difficult to get funding. Like even now, I'm trying to get funding for other horror projects, and it's like it's always a struggle.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the horror genre is usually tend to be looked down upon by everybody.
Why is that, you think? Because I mean, so many films are acclaimed and do well.
You know what? I honestly wish I could tell you why. I honestly have no idea because there's such a huge population of people that absolutely love the genre. And some of these old school horror like directors and writers are like heralded as gods, you know? And I don't know why. I really wish I knew.
Yeah, I think maybe there's maybe sometimes horror films are not that great, so they give the genre a bad name. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that too. The one thing about a lot of horror movies is that they're cheap to make and they usually tend to bring in the highest box office, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that over time, maybe there became this stigma of it's going to be a cheap movie, but you know, people are going to flock to see it, but it's not going to be any good. But sometimes in cases, most of the time, I do enjoy it. Most horror movies that come out.
Same, yeah, no, I think they're great. Like I even saw Tara, which got bad reviews, but I thought it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that movie. I know it's going to be bad, but I'm going to have a fun time with it.
It's fun. It's like the special effects are good. Like it's very entertaining. I recommend it.
Okay, awesome. I think we're checking it out in a couple of weeks. Let me see here. So I guess the big question is there going to be a sequel to this movie?
That's the plan. In fact, I finished writing the sequel. That's the dream. It's like to shoot it and like go more down the exorcism route of like possession and stuff. So yeah, that's the plan, to hopefully fundraise and make a sequel. That's the dream.
Now you said you want to go down an exorcism route. Now, does that have any tie-ins to the more, I'm going to say, I don't want to do any spoils for this movie, so I'm trying to avoid as much about it as I can, but like I'm going to say lucid segments of the movie, if you might know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, totally. So I think it's like in the movie we kind of hint towards like the satanic side of her, but we don't show it as much. So I think in this one, like we want to show her relationship with Satan more, and like also there's a priest who's basically trying to get revenge on her for the people she kills, who's sent by someone else, which is a spoiler. I'm not going to say. But yeah, like we want to show more of that like side of it, you know, with like even resurrection and like that kind of. There's actually a few scenes that take place in the Vatican in the script.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that would be cool to shoot there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. We're going to get into, those are all the questions we have for about the movie, but let's get into some more future exciting questions. Like if you could work with any movie director, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a great question. I might say Takashi Miike, the Japanese director. I love Audition. That's one of my favorite horror films ever. And even 13 Assassins, which I think is more recent. That's like one of my favorite movies as well. And I love Japanese and Korean horror films. Like I watch a lot of them. So I guess, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say that I'm starting to dive more into foreign J-horror and Korean films as well. I just watched The Wailing like a few weeks back.
Oh, nice.
I loved it. Like even the daunting runtime of like 2 hours and 40 minutes, I was hooked the entire time.
That was actually one I would have recommended if you hadn't seen it. It's brilliant. I love that movie. It's so well done.
Same. Audition was another movie that we watched this year, and we both loved it. We thought it was great. I just picked up a copy of Evil Dead Trap. Have you seen that by chance?
No, is that Japanese?
I believe so. It's actually by my feet right now, but I'm not going to get off camera to pick it up. I don't know exactly what it is. All I know is that I believe it's sort of inspired by the Evil Dead movies of the 80s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm very curious to check that one out.
Speaking of your question earlier about like my favorite recent horror films, I would say Evil Dead Rise I really liked a lot.
Yeah. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, and that movie is the one that I sit on the fence about throughout all four films. And I don't know why. Can you please let me know why you think that that one deserves to be in the top tier?
So I think the girl's performance, the one who plays the mother, I think she's brilliant. Like I really sense that like demonic side of her. And I'm not like as familiar with Evil Dead like when I watched that film. So like it was for me, it was just riveting. Like I think they resurrect something from a box or something like a book,
Yep.
and it was like even the opening scene on the lake I thought was like really cool. And yeah, it was just for me it was suspenseful, and the gore at the end was great. Like, but I do know that is polarizing, that film, for a lot of horror fans for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's just if you're like a diehard Evil Dead fan, it just kind of it teeters because I think a lot of people were expecting Evil Dead 2013 levels of terror. I don't know if you've seen the remake or not,
Yeah, that was good too. I liked that a lot.
but we got more of almost an Evil Dead 2 style, which I think just threw people off.
Yeah, no, it was good. Even Smile I thought was very good as well.
Yes, I had a great time with Smile as well. Even Nope, like I think we're in a great time for horror right now, as opposed to like the amount we're getting and the quality.
Yeah, no, I agree with you a lot. Like, I think recently there was so many horror films that came out. Even The Exorcism in theaters. I haven't seen it yet, but
I haven't seen that one yet either. I know it's getting very mixed reviews, and I'm surprised Russell Crowe was willing to tackle another Exorcist movie on top of being the Pope's Exorcist, which is officially getting another sequel.
oh, nice. I enjoyed that one quite a bit actually. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, me too. I'm a huge sucker for like um, haunting films or Exorcist films. I think they're the ones that freak me out the most.
Yeah, they're pretty terrifying. That was scary. That post Exorcist. That was good.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite sub genre of horror?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know if I do. I feel like if it's just well made, I really like it. You know, like so I like all genres of within horror. Like I'm a even supernatural, like suspense, like the Get Out type. I love that. I'm trying to think what else. Us, I liked a lot too. And then like even I Saw the Devil. I don't know if that's considered horror. It's a Korean film. It's a great movie. I recommend it.
I have it sitting downstairs. I haven't checked it out yet.
You should. I'm curious to hear what you think. I love it. It's
Okay. I'll bring it upstairs and put it on my watch list.
yeah. What about you? Do you have a favorite subgenre?
Oh, I think in terms of what scares me, I think like Exorcist, supernatural films. If I'm just looking to go out and have a good time, I'll definitely be sticking to like slashers or
Slashers are fun.
yeah, or really bad like creature features are always a good time too.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think what's a good one. Cube's pretty good. That's another one.
Yeah, it's a Canadian film. Yeah, cute.
Is it? Oh,
Yes, it is.
that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, it was fun. They did a sequel, I think, right? Or
Yeah, there's like three or I think there's three of them, and then there's a Korean or Chinese remake.
I think I knew about that actually. Even The Collector and The Collection. I love those movies. Those are great.
Oh, hugely underrated movies.
I agree. They're so like people don't talk about them, but they're so well made. Like,
I know. I'm always so upset that that third one got canceled.
was it because of COVID or what happened?
Yeah, it was basically because of COVID and Sam, my girlfriend, jinxed it. So I have a funny little story about that. It was April Fool's, and she sent me a text saying that it was canceled, and then she said April Fool's, and then literally the next day the film got canceled.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so she totally just jinxed the whole thing. But it was mainly due to COVID, and then by the time that they decided to pick things back up again, they had lost funding, and now for some reason, the movie is in limbo. I think the people that were owning the rights to it are essentially not willing to give them up at the moment.
That's a shame because both those films are really good.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. If you could work with any actor or actress, who would it be?
Um, I'd say actress, probably Sydney Sweeney, just because I've seen Immaculate recently, and I just loved her performance in it. She was really good. I like Melissa Barrera a lot. She's like an up-and-coming scream queen, or I guess she is a scream queen now with Abigail and Scream. Actor, I like Christian Bale a lot. He's one of my favorites. That was one of the reasons why I really wanted to get into film. Was like I just loved his performances in like films.
What would be your favorite Christian Bale performance?
That's a tough one. It would probably be tied between American Psycho and Batman.
Okay. Like The Dark Knight, or which one out of the trilogy?
I think, yeah, The Dark Knight and Batman Begins are tied for me, I think. Like, I love Batman Begins a lot. I think it's brilliant.
Okay. It's been years since I've seen any one of those trilogies. I love American Psycho. I think that one's great.
It's brilliant. His performance in that is just brilliant. Like, so good.
It's chilling, like how cold he is.
Yeah, and it's a satire, right, of like Wall Street culture and stuff too.
Yep. Did you happen to check him out in The Machinist?
Yeah, that's a great film too.
Yeah, I can't believe how much weight he lost for that movie.
Yeah, and then right from that, he did Batman Begins, I think.
Yep. Yeah, he went from eating like an apple a day and smoking a cigarette to like gaining like 200 pounds of pure muscle.
It's insane, yeah. That's dedication, right? Like,
yeah. So you said that you're also trying to get some other financing for horror, like some other horror projects. Can you share with us what those other projects might be?
Yeah, so another one is called The Tormentor. It's actually like an origin story of the devil as well. It's kind of about like a CEO that like tortures some of his employees at a dinner party. And he has like a helper who's the devil. And like, it also like goes back in time and forward in time. Like it's kind of like an interdimensional sci-fi horror film. Like it's very heavy-handed. So yeah, that's one of the horror films I'm trying to make, and also a feature version of Just One Drink. I have that script as well.
Okay. Did you, by any chance, did you go and try to do like a Just One Drink? Like, I know with Smile, it came out as a short film first, and then it was picked up to be made into a feature film. Did you try to push for One Drink to be made into a feature film at any time?
I did actually, yeah. Like we tried to. We had some interested parties and stuff, but like nothing worked out, unfortunately. But I mean, we're still trying, so maybe one day.
Yeah. I got one more question about the film, and this is about some of the more maybe gruesome scenes in the movie. And you do show a lot, but there tends to be parts where you might cut or transition away from the grotesque activities on film. And I'm just wondering why you decided to make that choice, if it was for ratings reasons or for audience reasons.
Yeah, so I guess like one of my like ideas as a filmmaker is like I try and leave a lot to the imagination, and like even with some of the dialogue in the scenes, like it's sometimes left open-ended. So like I feel like sometimes, and you're right, like we do show some gore, but there's a lot of scenes like we cut away because I wanted to like, I think what the audience can imagine may be scarier than what we can show on screen sometimes.
Okay.
So that was one of the reasons, like that was the main reason we did that, some of those scenes.
Awesome. Well, those are all the questions I have for you today, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Andrew, thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure to talking with you. Do you want to let the audience again know where they can find you so they can maybe get their hands on this movie?
Yeah, let me just double check the Instagram. The Instagram page is the Seductress from Hell movie. I think, yeah, and then Facebook is the same thing. And yeah, if you could just go to the website, seductressfromhellmovie.com, like all the links are there. And like, yeah, we'd really appreciate any support, people liking our page, videos. We're very, very grateful.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much again, Andrew, for coming on. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening and liking and subscribing. Go check out his page. His movie is great. And Andrew, we cannot wait to hear and see what else you come up with.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Stay spooky.